how we can use various capabilities from UNDP, but also from other UN agencies, funds and programs, to have what we call joined up approaches, which means we're working together so that we can maximize and leverage the impact of our knowledge, our data, and our studies, but to do this in partnership with our member states, because at the end of the day, this is about the countries that are members of the United Nations and all of these agencies, funds, and programs working with our member states, especially those who are facing the brunt of these kind of crises, to come up with effective responses. And so this is a contribution to that. It can help to inform policies, programs, and initiatives. But of course, in order for that to happen, we've not just got to provide the information through research, but it is important that it is research and evidence-based. But we have to move to the next level of actually making this available to policy and decision makers and work with them to see how we can jointly develop effective solutions that help to address these crises. So that really is the contribution that we're trying to make. It is my hope that we do have an effective response. And one of the important partners that have been involved in helping us to work with member states, with governments, especially on issues that are not limited to one particular country, but have cross-border implications, is the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD. Because you would recall that when IGAD was established, it was initially established to focus on drought and development. Now, there has been a greater focus of IGAD over the years on looking at issues relating to climate change, drought, and development. And indeed, as you may have heard in the panel discussion, they have even moved ahead of the African Union in terms of developing institutions, developing research, and thinking about effective responses. So IGAD is also a very important partner in this process because they will help us to engage the member states and work, as I said, collectively with joined up approaches to make sure that we have effective responses. And it is our hope that going forward, we can do more work of this nature that at the end of the day will help us to deliver value within this region. Thank you.
Sorry, in your remarks, you acknowledged the work and the efforts of people of the region. Can you tell us more about this?
Well, when I talk about the work of people of the region, essentially I'm talking about people across all walks of life, right?
Yes.
The communities where you see that these solutions are being implemented. Civil society organizations who are working with these communities to document some of that traditional knowledge. State institutions, local government institutions, at the devolved level, at the decentralized level, in the three respective countries that are also important partners in this process. And when we talk about joined up approaches, even though I've made the general statement of government and states, we recognize that that involves a huge number of actors. And I think it's important for us, especially when we talk about the people of the region, to recognize that very often we're not inventing new responses, right? There is a huge amount of traditional knowledge and capability and practices that have been passed down over the years. What we need to do is to be able to document that, share that, replicate that in similar conditions so that they can benefit from that knowledge and that information and help to, as it were, implement solutions that are relevant within the context people can easily identify with as effective solutions and therefore will be ready to implement and replicate.
Talking about communities, and we know that we have indigenous communities within this IGAD block.
Yeah.
Some of them don't know about climate change. Maybe what's your modalities maybe to reach them?
I don't think that anybody doesn't know about climate change. They may not know it in terms of the terminology that we use, but they are seeing the impact every day, right? Because you're seeing the impact of drought, you're seeing the impact of flash flooding, you're seeing the fact that the crop seasons, the planting seasons are becoming more unpredictable because rainfall patterns have become unpredictable. I think that what we need to do is to take what they see and what they observe as the factors that are impacting their livelihoods and their lifestyles and explain why this is happening. And that goes back to the issue of looking at traditional knowledge. Because then you take that and you say that, well, in this particular country, this is how they have responded to that. And more importantly, it has worked. And so if you look at it and then you see how you can replicate this within your own context, it is a demonstrated solution. Now, the important thing about taking solutions that come from the communities themselves that have demonstrated impact is that for someone who has scarce resources and who wants to take action, of course, you want to know that there's a really high chance that what you are going to do is going to lead to a positive outcome. You can't afford trial and error, right? And so being able to, as it were, make that information available and helping them to see that this is how you can deal with it is what I think makes this particular study very relevant. And we have the challenge of disseminating the information. We hope that you will take the opportunity to read the study. We also hope that in that process, when you have the opportunity to go around and to engage with others, you can give some of these examples, because sharing learning is a collaborative effort. And I think the media has a very important role to play in that regard.